What's up? I write Grab. I'm a graffiti writer here in the South Florida area. I was originally born in Brazil, raised in New York, and now I live here in Florida. I moved to New York at a very young age from Brazil. I was 3 years old, and that was in '85, in the mid-'80s. So growing up, I would see graffiti on the trains, graffiti in the streets. I'm kind of raised in, playing in the streets a lot, that street culture. And growing up, I met, older guys who were into breakdancing and graffiti, and being an artist since a kid, I was very drawn to the graffiti aspect of the culture. I started really messing with spray cans in '97, '98, starting with tags, and then met a couple freight riders and got into that scene. So I would say I started around there, late '90s, early 2000s. I lived in Atlanta from 2003 to 2007, met a lot of dope writers there. I was already friends with my crew, FDC, and we kind of grew up, painting together and learning from each other, and influenced by some of the older Miami crews and people we looked up to, and try to do it like them and carry on tradition. If it wasn't for painting graffiti, I would probably never had painted on a wall as early as I did in my life, and kind of graffiti taught me that to paint larger scale, not be afraid to do something large on a wall. And now working with murals, I get to do art, which I love doing, and my favorite is working with the spray can. It's faster, it's funner, it's my identity. In the beginning, I was juggling everything. I was rapping, I was making music, recording music, b-boying, breakdancing a lot, traveling with my crew, competing, and graffiti, and I was juggling those three elements, growing up. And I think around the mid-2000s, I really started focusing more on graffiti when I moved back from Atlanta to South Florida, and was just more of an active painter and just doing more art and painting a lot more than I was, breaking, and I stopped making music just to focus on the artwork and the graffiti. I actively rep 3 different crews. My main crew, FDC, 2DX, and Wild Style Technicians, WST. FDC started early 2000s. It's a Miami-based crew. We have a couple members out of Miami, but like I said, we came up together, kind of built together from the early 2000s, influenced by a lot of the older Miami crews. 2DX is a New York-based crew, so I have that connection with my friends from up there. And Wild Style Technicians, they're originally out of California. And WST, Wild Style Technicians, they're based out of the West Coast, but they've been around for a while, and built a friendship with those guys. Yeah, I like what they represent with graffiti and hip-hop in general. They have a clothing brand that's involved with the b-boy culture and the hip-hop culture. Being a graffiti connoisseur, I appreciate all aspects of the graffiti. I love seeing hand styles, throwies, simple letter structures, you know, pieces, everything. I think I'm very drawn to wild style and the science behind pieces and letter structure. Because of my b-boy background and the guys that I grew up very influenced by and my favorite writers, you know, that's what they were always doing, you know, very strong letter structures and wild style pieces. But I like to be able to see the letters and be able to, I like legible pieces, and that's where I kind of try to focus my style, where people can look at the letters and see what they're doing and see the character behind them and what action or what mood the letters are in. And I think that's where I try to take my style and build on that. My artwork's very influenced by my childhood, you know, the 80s cartoons that I used to watch, movies I used to watch. Therefore, the color schemes I think are very retro and tropical, maybe some Miami Vice, you know, anime, a lot of comic book influence when I do my characters, and yeah, I base my color scheme off of that. My colors I usually pick are more tropical. I think my graffiti is an extension of my surroundings, of where I live, you know, where, you know, what I see every day, the Miami and Florida architecture. I feel fortunate to have grown up in New York, being that it's the, you know, the beginning of hip hop, and graffiti was from there. And then having the opportunity also to live in Atlanta in the early to mid 2000s, which was a time where there was a lot of great graffiti writers living there, and it was a playground. I mean, there were so many options and places to paint, from freights to walls, and that's why I became very active in Atlanta in those mid 2000s. And then moving back to Miami, reuniting with my friends and being able to build with my crew and keep each other active and always motivated. You know, there's a lot of great crews and great artists down here in Miami, and also the art movement in Miami, which has been growing a lot. A lot of artists have been joined here because of Art Basel and other art events that happen down here, or Winter Music Conference we have, and several cultural events that happen in Miami. And I think that helps, bring attention to our city. It's beautiful over here in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and I think we have great weather for painting. Sometimes it's too hot, but at least there's plenty of opportunity to stay active. And some of my favorite walls, I would have to say, are the ones that I paint with my brothers, with my crew, because we really vibe off each other. It's a chemistry. It's bonding. We're hanging out, and we improvise a lot. We're known for also doing crew pieces all together. We kind of form as one unit, and that's always fun. Knocking out a piece with the crew, and those are probably my favorite walls. When I first painted in my home country in Brazil, I think that was a real life-changing experience. To see what even some less fortunate people go through to paint a wall, and I felt very thankful being able to paint in my home country, and I think that was really moving. It really gave me a new perspective on graffiti and what I'm doing over here, and going back to my little town where I was born, and trying to do something big for them, for my family, and kind of represent that this guy from this little town is out trying to do bigger things and spread my art.
What?